Iran has officially announced that it is closing the Strait of Hormuz again and resuming attacks on the countries of the Persian Gulf. It was only a few hours after the ceasefire was announced in the Middle East, and all sides have already accused each other of breaking the ceasefire. Iran has announced a new ban on ship movement through the Strait of Hormuz, citing a violation of the truce by Israel. They claim that Israel continues to strike Hezbollah in Lebanon, which supposedly violates the agreement that, I remind you, no one has actually seen. Although the US has stated that the ceasefire does not apply to Lebanon. But Iran keeps silent about the fact that just a couple of hours after the ceasefire, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces attacked Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. And by morning, Iran also attacked the oil pipeline that allows Saudi Arabia to supply oil bypassing the Strait of Hormuz. At the same time, explosions were also heard in Iran itself, both in the capital Tehran and at some petrochemical plants. By the way, the Americans say that neither they nor the Israelis attacked this plant. Overall, there is no actual ceasefire, but Washington says that direct talks will still take place on Friday. And Donald Trump himself even welcomes the fact that Iran demands payment for passage through the strait, calling it a guarantee of security. My name is Alexei Pecci. Let's discuss this topic together. But before we start this episode, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and leave any comment you want. And if you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation or sponsorship on YouTube. All the links and details on how to support Alexei Pecci's channel are in the description of this video and in the QR code on your screens. And subscribe to my Telegram channel Pecci News, the link to it is also in the description of this video. So, as of now, it is officially known that Iran has once again banned the movement of ships through the Hormuz Strait, citing a violation of the ceasefire by Israel. The authorities of the Islamic Republic were angered by the strikes of the Jewish state against Hezbollah in Lebanon. After the announcement of the ceasefire between the US and Iran, the Israel Defense Forces reported that they attacked command centers and military facilities of the group. The Lebanese Ministry of Health stated that as a result of these strikes, which also hit Beirut, hundreds of people were wounded and killed. The representative of the Iranian Parliament's National Security Committee, Ebrahim Rezaei, stated that in response to these actions by the IDF, the movement of ships through the Hormuz Strait should be suspended immediately. He also emphasized the need to deliver a powerful and decisive strike to prevent further aggression from Israel. And according to Rezaei, there are only two possible options: a ceasefire on all fronts or the continuation of the war. But at the same time, Washington stated that Iran cannot dictate the terms. Why? Because it lost. For example, US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth claims that Trump has already gone down in history as the greatest commander and victor, and that Iran allegedly begged the United States of America for mercy. Let me just quote Pete Hegseth. Iran has posed a threat to the United States and the free world for 47 years, but now everything has changed. President Trump has made history. Iran begged for a truce and we all know it. They got tired of it. Operation Epic Fury was a real military victory. If Iran had rejected our terms, next year our targets would have been their power plants, bridges, as well as their oil and energy infrastructure. Targets they would not have been able to protect and could not have realistically restored. It would have taken them decades to recover while we were at full combat readiness. Later, the White House officially stated that the ceasefire agreements do not apply to Lebanon, to which Iran responded that they never agreed to that. Now they accuse Trump of lying. They say that while the US itself has stopped attacks, they continue to fight through Iran. I should note that the US and Iran reached a 2-week ceasefire agreement on the morning of April 8 after 40 days of war. As part of this agreement, the Republic of Iran agreed to open the Hormuz Strait for the passage of ships. And the parties also decided to resume direct peace talks. They are scheduled to begin on April 10 in Pakistan. The White House has already stated, quote, "Today we are seeing increased traffic in the Hormuz Strait." But the thing is, before the announcement of the new closure of the Hormuz Strait, as many as 2 tankers managed to pass through it. Most ship owners decided not to take risks when the US and Iran agreed to a ceasefire. According to Kepler, there are currently 426 tankers with crude oil, petroleum products, and various types of fuel in the Persian Gulf, 34 vessels for transporting liquefied petroleum gas, and 19 for liquefied natural gas. And in addition, there are 238 bulk carriers and a number of container ships. But let's get back to Lebanon. The thing is, Iran insists that Lebanon is also included in the ceasefire, and therefore Israel cannot shell it, which, by the way, it is actively doing right now. Meanwhile, Pakistani mediators have also announced that the ceasefire supposedly extends to Lebanon as well. Israel and the US claim that this is not the case, and therefore the IDF has intensified its attacks. And here, the Iranians have overlooked one very important point. Israel was not at the negotiating table for the ceasefire, and therefore Israel did not take on any obligations at all. Yes, the United States of America could promise not to attack Lebanon, and they are not attacking. Who negotiated with Israel about the ceasefire? No one. Nevertheless, during the first 12 hours after the ceasefire came into effect, there were also attacks on oil facilities in Iran, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and Kuwait. Iran stated that its missile and drone attacks on Israel and oil facilities in the Emirates, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia after the ceasefire was announced were a response to US and Israeli attacks on Iran, including on an oil refinery, but the Pentagon was quick to shoot it down. Iran stated that the strike on the Iranian oil refinery was not carried out by Americans or Israelis. But what is known for sure is that Iran attacked the oil pipeline that allowed Saudi Arabia to supply oil bypassing the Strait of Hormuz. This refers to the East-West oil pipeline, which transports oil from the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea. And according to the Financial Times, the strike hit one of the pumping stations. A 1,200-kilometer route that is called the economic artery of the kingdom. The attack happened just a few hours after Iran and the US announced a ceasefire. After that, Trump surprised some of his hawkish allies by saying that Iran's 10-point list for ending the war is a workable basis for negotiations. According to the version published by Iran's Security Council, these conditions include Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz, retaining the right to enrich uranium, lifting all sanctions, and receiving compensation for the war. Later, US Vice President J.D. Vance stated that some members of the Iranian regime are lying about the agreements reached. As for Trump himself, he lashed out with criticism at the media, which reported that he had accepted Iran's conditions and stated that after the war he would deal with all such media outlets. He said that the 10 points received by the Americans are different from those currently being discussed in the media. But even Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said that when he saw the list of Iran's demands that Trump agreed to, he said, "I was alarmed." And let me remind you, Graham is a big supporter of Donald Trump, and here is his quote. "The negotiation document, in my opinion, contains some troubling points, but time will tell. I look forward to when the authors of this proposal, the Vice President and others, will appear before Congress and explain how the agreement reached meets our national security goals in Iran. But be that as it may, Trump has made it clear that the US does not recognize Iran's right to enrich uranium and will not allow Iran to have stockpiles of highly enriched uranium. Trump stated that the Iranian authorities, together with the Americans, will dig up all these stockpiles from underground and remove them from the country. In return, the US will ease sanctions. Therefore, all that remains is to wait for Friday and the start of official negotiations." So I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you already know what to do. You can do this with any donation using the QR code on your screens, or by using the links and details in the description of this video. I will be grateful for any support you can give. That's it for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.